Hello, and welcome to this live about Polyglot Conference 2023. I'm very excited to say that we are getting closer and closer to the actual event itself. We have Polyglot Conference Global, which is going to be online from the 4th to the 8th of October. And that's going to bring you lots of people from all around the world who will speak live, have pre-recorded talks, and also will be able to open up all of the event from Cholula last year. Hopefully we'll have all of the videos delivered by then so that you can see them in the live environment. And also from the language event in Edinburgh, we will also hopefully have those ready for you too, as well as the talks from last year, which you'll still be able to see before they're released after this event. And then also the talks from this year, as well as the language chats, language lessons, and all that other good stuff for you to get to know each other and talk to each other ahead of the live event if you're coming to that too. Now, the live event in Budapest is going to be on the 27th and 28th of October. And we've already released a lot of the people who are going to be speaking at the event. This year is a bit different because it's a 10-year event, 10-year anniversary event, should I say. And we're going to be celebrating the fact that it's been 10 years by having a slightly different format. Well, first of all, we're going to honor the one room event. So we all get to be in a room where we listen to lots of great people speaking about very different topics. And that's already very exciting. The other cool thing is that we're going to start the idea of having a 20-minute presentation. Now, this is in the TED style of talks. The thought behind this is, from my point of view, that for the information that we want to get across, we can always add links and things and places for you to do a deeper dive. But it's quite nice to have a shorter amount of time for our speakers to talk in, where they present you with a story or a situation or some information about a given language community, group, work. It could be anything to do with language. And within that time, they get to really excite your intellectual curiosity about that topic and give you even some basic facts that you can walk away with, or you can then choose to dive deeper and look into them further. In Budapest, we're going to be in this really beautiful building called the Vigadó. It's a building right on the Danube. It's very, very pretty, and it's basically like a palace. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's really, really pretty. And my thought behind that is I like the idea of people, all of us, at some point being able to feel like we can go to a place like that and enjoy it for a couple of days together to speak with other people who enjoy learning languages. Now, I think that it's nice for us to feel special when we're in there, and that's kind of my reasoning behind it. I'm possibly one of those kids that grew up, thinking that the kind of the fairy tale belongs to us all, and we all deserve to be the prince and princess and anything and everything in between in all of these tales. And I quite like that idea. And so a place like Budapest, where there are lots of very pretty buildings, but you don't normally get into this one unless you're going to an event. So it'll be a very unique experience for you if you're coming. I mean, you can pay and go into places like the Parliament building, which is also extremely pretty. And this is like kind of that level of pretty, this building, but it's not a building that you normally get access to unless you're going for a specific event. And so I really, really hope that you'll feel that level of sort of special if you're coming and you make it. If you're not able to make it, then obviously very sad that you can't make it. But we will have the information available from the conference as usual. We will be recording it. We will then make it publicly available online. Now, the first year, we will make it, first of all, available to people who have tickets for the live environment. And that is so that basically we're a community event. We rely on the generosity and donations of you in the community to help make this work. Without it, we can't really do anything. And so this is kind of why we're doing that, as a thank you to all of you who are able to help to donate to make the online environment that bit brighter, that bit better, whether it's with your talks, whether it's a donation, whether it's with your presence and your enthusiasm, however it is that you're able to help to donate. We'd like to say thank you by making sure that you get to see a number of these things first before anyone else. And so that's what we're going to do. And what we're also looking at this year as well, and been working with Lucy and Judy to bring a series of talks that are at the moment provisionally entitled Wise Words of Women. And this is to celebrate the women in our community so that we can really look at the things that they do to make a difference. And it's something that struck me, and I did a live about this a while back, where I talked about how we encourage more women to speak. In the language world, actually, in terms of sort of professional language users and language expertise, in academia or in professional language services like translators, interpreters, and many, many other disciplines as well as students of language, women usually make up around, I think it's between 60 and 70%. Don't quote me on that figure, but it's definitely more than half. And every year we've always struggled to even get 50% of women on stage. And it's something that I'm very keen to address, because I think that it shouldn't be an issue for us to get at least 50%, given that the knowledge is there, the expertise are there, the strong women are there with their voices, with a lot of very good things to share. And it's a shame not to hear from them. So it's something that's very dear to my heart. And Lucy and Judy are also extremely keen on this too. And so we're very, very happy that we've been able to do these kinds of interviews and hopefully bring this to you on for the online event for Polyglot Conference Global this year, so that we can hear from women doing really quite extraordinary things with languages. And I hope you're excited about that. I know I'm very happy to be doing that. I've done a few of the interviews myself, and Judy and Lucy are also doing interviews too. And so, yeah, we're very, very excited about that. And that's kind of hot off the press, because that's so we're sort of working on still. And as I say, it's a provisional title for now, but we will have that as part of the Polyglot Conference. And it's really something that we want to acknowledge the very good and hard work that's been done already by the team of Women in Language. They really set the benchmark for, making a concerted effort and putting in a lot of work to get women to speak at their event. And that's been a really good place where we've been able to have people then come and speak at not just the Polyglot Conference, and I'm going to speak on behalf of the Polyglot Gathering as well, but also to the Polyglot Gathering. And I've seen this lovely cross-pollination between all of these events that I think is extremely beautiful and really, really useful in terms of the work that we do. It all sort of feeds in and it helps to enrich all of the events. This year for the Polyglot Conference in Budapest, we've also got a language course for Hungarian that's going to be taking place from the Monday in Győr, in the north of Hungary, towards the Slovakian border. And that will be a 4-day course. So anyone who's got a ticket for the conference will be able to sign up for that too. The other cool thing is that we will be organizing meetups in Budapest during the week of the conference, so the week leading up from the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we're looking at organizing things with partners too. I know that Tandem is already looking at options for an event on the Thursday evening, and we will do our best to make it a week where we all get to break bread together, we get to talk to each other, we get to enjoy the city, as well as the serious business of listening to some really good speakers and getting to talk to them and interact with them around the conference. Now, the other things that we're looking at are on the Sunday to hopefully organize an an excursion of some kind. My idea at the moment, and who I'm reaching out to right now, are people to do boat tours on the Danube. So if we could maybe do a Danube tour, obviously this will be an additional thing that we need to organise in terms of sign-ups. But we will look to do that so that we can have a little bit more time together. So really, we're extending the conference out. It's going to be almost a week of abilities to sort of chances and opportunities to meet up and to break bread and to talk to each other and to enjoy each other's company, to share knowledge, to practice languages if we want, or also just to learn and to kind of get hints from people who've been learning languages. If you're learning your first language or your second language and you feel you just want to kind of break bread and find out how these people do this, how some people learn languages, or how certain individuals who teach certain languages who might be there, how they do that, what they recommend, what their sort of routines are like. So it's a really good opportunity for you to get to meet a lot of really good people. And I really hope that this year as well, in particular, as it's our 10th anniversary, that we see a number of new faces, and that we see people as well who come and you're learning your first language or second language, and you feel, you know, that am I a polyglot? And this is one of the questions we get very often. And honestly, this event is not meant just for polyglots. If it were, it would be kind of it'd be good, but it's actually the people that come who don't sort of position themselves as polyglots. Sometimes I feel have a lot of really cool angles and viewpoints to share, and I enjoy listening when I have conversations with people like that who are fresh to the community, and you add a lot of value. Your place is in this community if you love language. And this is why the tagline for everyone who loves language is really important, and is definitely something that is a really fundamental element of the community for me. I think without new voices, without innovation, without different voices, without voices from lots of different communities, different perspectives, different age groups, different backgrounds, different anything and everything you can imagine, we don't really get to challenge anything. And if we all just sit down and talk and we're all the same, it's an echo chamber of us all saying how wonderful we are, and who needs that, right? So I'm really, really excited about seeing as many of you as possible in Budapest, about having such great speakers on stage. This year was particularly difficult because we had way more speakers than apply to speak at the conference than we had space on stage. It's super, super challenging because, to be honest, there were so many more people I would have loved to have heard from on stage, so many. And unfortunately, we can't have everyone on stage. This is one of the things after the pandemic where, you know, I think people got sick of being indoors all the time. One of the huge advantages of the pandemic was it gave us Polyglot Conference Global. And this online environment really does serve a great purpose. First of all, we're not confined to times of day. We can have people speak anytime they want. The rooms can be open and they can just speak and have things recorded, and then it's ready and it's done, and that's it. We also don't have to worry about time constraints in terms of, you know, physical locations. We have to be in and out at certain times. We also have to, we have fixed costs as well with those that don't go down, unfortunately. They have just been going up and up after the whole pandemic and Russia-Ukraine. It's driven a lot of prices up. The online environment, yes, prices have risen as well, but it also means that we have the flexibility to offer options for people who cannot pay for whatever reason to have a place and to add the value that they add just by being there. And from my point of view, that's something that I think we've gained an awful lot from by having the Polyglot Conference Global. In addition to the in-person events are lovely to meet up with people. It's lovely to be able to see people in person and to just, you know, sit down for a coffee or for a meal together. These kinds of things are lovely. And to experience an event where you you can talk about things straight after in person with somebody face to face. But we can get a lot of that at the global event, and so I really encourage, if you are going to global, and if you are going to Budapest, I would definitely say it's worth coming to global too, simply because we're going to have people who are going to be at the Budapest event at global as well, and we're looking to have the Hungarian teacher come to introduce herself and to talk to you. So I think there'll be some really, really cool opportunities for you to get to know each other. And yeah, I mean, I invite questions about the events. If you have any questions, do feel free to sort of just ask me. You can ask me now on this live. You can also put the questions in the chat and in the comment section of these videos when the live is ended. And I'll be very, very happy to make sure we look at addressing as many of those as possible. Clearly, we are not a huge team. This is a community event, and it's something that we organise each year for the community. And so we rely on you as much as you rely on us. And so we'll do our best to keep you as informed as we can. And I hope that by raising some of the questions and some of the things that I've been asked already, by doing this live and answering those things now and giving a bit more information now, that really helps to inform your plans. Budapest as a city is just wonderful. There are many, many places in terms of accommodation options to stay. It's still relatively affordable in terms of as a tourist. There are lots of eateries and cafes and lots of nice walks you can go on, lots of beautiful things to see. If you like swimming or going to spas, then there are lots of spas in Budapest. It's beautiful for that. And lots of sort of indoors you can experience the old-fashioned Turkish bath houses, the hammams, and you can even get spa treatments as well if you're interested in that kind of thing. And they're all over the city. You can also obviously see the really beautiful historical of buildings and get to know the city in that way too. There's a lot to discover in Budapest, and also obviously the Hungarian language, which is in of itself, a sort of a nice challenge for anyone. And I can absolutely recommend learning, even if you're not going to do the course or you're not going to learn lots of Hungarian. Learning a bit is actually really, really interesting, because it's one of those places where even if you know a few words, you'll get to use them. It's a city where I know maybe 3 words of Hungarian, and I just swap them around and say different things, and people seem to love it. So I always get a very positive reaction in Hungary. Lovely. I see some very nice questions right now, so I'm just going to see if I can answer some. As I say, any questions about the conference, whether it's the global online conference or Budapest, I'm very, very happy to answer any questions you may have. Hello, Richard. What's your favorite language? Thank you. My favorite language is German. I think I've answered that a few times live, but I'm happy to answer it again. German, because I learned it when I was in Germany working with children. And if you learn a language with children, there's always something a bit special about it because of the way they use the language, the kind of how the funny things they say, and yeah, so that's my favorite. What language are you studying right now? Right now, I am studying Cornish is one of the languages I've been studying since the pandemic. I have done 3 grade levels in Cornish, and I'm also looking at other Celtic languages, particularly Irish and Scottish Gaelic, and then also Ladino, which is Judeo-Spanish. I did a course last year with Oxford University, and I will continue with that too. So yeah, they're the languages. And then also now I'm trying to learn a few more words of Hungarian so that I don't have 3, maybe I'll have 5 by the time I get there. Hopefully even more, who knows. Hallo aus Deutschland, hallo. Hallo. So yeah, It's always fun to learn lots of new languages, and I enjoy doing that myself. Kind of nice projects to work on, and at the moment I've got this Hungarian this Hungarian teacher on Italki, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the lessons. They're nice and challenging for me, keep me busy, and and yeah, my Hungarian's kind of weird because it's got Hungarian has got a lot of Turkish words and things that I know from Turkish or even from Serbian, and it's kind of interesting the kind of mix that you get when you're learning it. So there are a number of words I see and I'm like, I know that word, and I have to figure out why I know it. It takes a bit of time sometimes. Okay, how is your Finnish doing? My Finnish isn't doing very much of anything, unfortunately. I studied in Finland many years ago and went to the university there, and I did up to about, I think they say it's like kind of A2. I started the B1-ish kind of material and then came back, and I haven't used it. So my understanding when I see things or hear things isn't so bad, but definitely haven't got the active knowledge that I had whilst I was there. And also, I since studied Estonian, which completely ruined Finnish for me. For someone who studied Finnish and Hungarian, which one of the two do you think is harder? Very difficult question to answer, actually. I don't know enough Hungarian to be, or Finnish, really, to make a hugely accurate judgment on that, and it would be subjective anyway, I think. My background definitely would lead me to think that Hungarian would be the easier one, for a couple of reasons. One, that it's a language spoken in the Balkans, so there's lots of Balkan influence for me, which makes life a lot easier. That might not be the case for other people. The other thing that might make it a bit easier for me as well is that with Finnish there is kind of a really stark diglossia that takes place with Finnish. So there's the Finnish that you learn in a book and the Finnish that you learn on a course, which is a standardized Finnish that's basically not spoken. And then you have this colloquial Finnish, which is actually quite different. And I don't think you get the same level of diglossia with Hungarian, from what I understand. It's more representative. The spoken is better represented by the written form than Finnish, if that makes sense. Yeah, but I think if I'm very honest, it's a subjective viewpoint, and so it's possibly much of a muchness for many people, but that's how I see it. Yeah. Okay. I'm very happy to answer any other questions if you have any. Let me see. And since you mentioned Estonian as well, which one of these do you think is harder language, Hungarian, Finnish, or Estonian? For me personally, it would be hardest to easiest. Finnish, and then Estonian and Hungarian, for me, difficult because Estonian has borrowed a lot from German. So there are a number of German things that I see in Estonian that help. But possibly Finnish, Estonian, Hungarian in that order. But it's not much in it, to be honest, with Estonian and Hungarian for me. They're both equally, they've got a lot for me to learn. Richard, you're amazing, best. Thank you, that's very kind. Just wanted to thank you for who you are and what you do for everyone. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you, Zed. I appreciate it. That's very sweet. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about the conference in Budapest. I'm very excited that I can't believe I've actually done 10 years of these events. And yeah, when we first started in 2013, the very first Polyglot conference that we had in Budapest, it was, I had no idea what it would be or how it would turn out and how many people we would have on stage up to now. So it's been actually quite humbling, and for me to experience over the years, just the level of knowledge and the great people we've had on stage and in the audience. for me, it's been quite the humbling experience, if I'm honest. And I've made a lot of friends along the way, and I've learned an awful lot from a lot of different people. I've obviously forgotten a lot of the stuff as well, because my brain doesn't retain everything. Unfortunately, I don't have that ability to retain everything I hear. So yeah, I've probably forgotten a lot more than I know as of right now. But but it's been a great experience. And if any of you are listening and you're in Asia in December, we've got the language event in Penang that's happening as well. So if you're interested in coming to Penang to look at the regional languages there in Southeast Asia, it would be wonderful to see you there. If you want to talk, the call for papers is open for Penang, and we do already have a few people who want to talk on different topics. We've got people talking about Penang Hokkien, and also Kristang, which is a creolized language that's from Malacca in Malaysia, but also used in Singapore as well by a minority of people. And they are it's a language that's a Creole that's based on Portuguese and has bits of Malay and bits of Chinese influence, and so it's this really interesting language. And it's a language actually I studied a little bit during the start of the pandemic, because this organization called Kodra Kristang had courses online that were available, and I can never turn down the option of learning a language. So I thought it was extremely exciting. Okay, let me see. Okay. Hi, I just wanted to know if there will be workshops at the conference or activities groups. So at the conference, we will have some events that will take place around the conference. So we've got the language course that's taking place the week before. We're also going to have meetups during the conference in the evenings that people will help to organize with us, partners and locals. So people will be able to meet up there. We will also have hopefully the cruise that will happen on the Sunday after the conference, and also we'll look at doing things during the lunch times. So it'll be kind of mixes and mingles and things like that. In terms of workshops during the actual conference, they will be quite hard to do just because of the space that's available. And the cost of running additional spaces within that building, because it's quite quite the building. But we will have these TED Talk style presentations, which are about 20 minutes long, with 10 minutes in between roughly each one, and then we'll have a long lunch break on both days and be able to go out and get some food together and break bread and that kind of stuff. So potentially we may have some sorts of activities, but in terms of workshops, that might be a bit challenging. This is why I think that the place for that is before the conference, to use the Polyglot Conference Global live environment. If we want to do any workshops and things like that, I think that's probably a better place for those kinds of things. But yeah, in terms of the language learning will be going on anyway the week before, and then you can just kind of practice that as well. But I mean, there's nothing stopping us having sort of informal workshops or games and things at the informal meetups as well. But why not? And I'm sure that will be something that we'll be able to do. Some of the partners and sponsors already talked about doing things like that anyway, so we'll have more definite details about those in due course. But yeah, that's the idea, is to have this nice kind of social aspect to it as well. What do you think of the ability to notice in language learning? Steve Kaufman talks about it a lot. Do you find it particularly helpful? Noticing, as in like noticing what you're saying and noticing words. Yeah, absolutely. Really, it's something that I do a lot. I often question languages, words, why we say certain things. And yes, it is important for if you want to really internalize grammar or vocabulary or whatever else. super important. So yeah, I absolutely do that. I practice that very often, pretty much daily, really, to be honest. So I mean, there are certain expressions that don't come out very often in a language, and so to be able to be exposed to them takes years and years and years and years. I mean, even in our own language. So sometimes they come out and I question them. Whenever I hear them, I question them. I kind of never feel embarrassed that I don't know these things. So I tend to just ask and query. Hello, hola, tudo bem, obrigado. Com você? Yeah. So, do you think the ability to notice this is more important skill in life in general, not just language learning? I think noticing things, like many things in life, I don't know if one's necessarily always better or worse. Some abilities to notice things, yes, can be a benefit, but also, like many things, they can be a double-edged sword. So if you're aware of too many things, it can cause anxiety and worry, and so depends. There's no easy answer to that. I've seen it play out in different ways, and so I'm not going to say and pretend that I think that it's just positive, because I'm aware of reasons why people limit those kinds of things, and prefer to live where they almost, like, they don't look too much to the side. So people who, for example, prefer not to listen to the news, and I understand the reasons behind that, and I definitely would not judge anyone for making that kind of decision. I think it's important that people make the decision that's right for them when it comes to most things, to be honest. Yeah, there's a level of self-preservation that's important, and whether that's learning languages or in life in general, we need to know where our boundaries are and our limits are, and yeah, I think that's important. Cześć, Richard. Pozdrawiam z Toronto. Cześć, jak się masz? Wojciech. Okay, let me see. I see a few questions now also on Instagram, so I'm going to see if I can answer them. Let me see. Is there any topic to talk about? Yeah, I spoke in the beginning. Welcome, first of all. I spoke in the beginning, and I'll add this to the sort of the social media pages. But I spoke about the Polyglot Conference and what we're doing in Budapest, and also at the global event. So that's the main reason for this live. And now I'm just answering questions. I'll sign off soon. I won't stay for an hour. I think possibly maybe 45 minutes will be my absolute cap, but I may finish a bit earlier. Just trying to make sure I answer all the questions that are important to you about the conference beforehand, and I'm fielding a few language related questions as well. Let me see. Okay. So, yes, I am very, very happy for you to reach out. If you've just joined and you want to know what this was about, then obviously you'll be able to go back and listen to the start of this as soon as it's posted. And as again, feel free to write comments, ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer whatever is important to you. To my mind, I think the key thing is that you have the information you need, and that you can make a decision as to which conference or which conferences you attend. Clearly, from my point of view, these are really community things, and so if they work for you, they don't work for you, I'd rather know, so that we can at least see how we can make them work for as many people as possible. Okay. What's your take on people who are studying the dictionary of a certain language that they are quite advanced in? Studying the dictionary. I mean, yeah, dictionary study is, I guess, a thing for some people. Depends what you're doing with it, I suppose, and if you enjoy it. There's no. Look, I mean, I'm not sort of. I'm not down with me making a complete judgment on one method over another in terms of for every single person. The thing that I recognize is that every individual is different, and our motivations are different, and how we use materials is going to be different, and what appeals to one person may not appeal to another. And there's no one way this works that's better or intrinsically worse. There are people who will say that they feel that, and that's entirely up to them to think that. But I have met people who study languages and have done things that I would never wish to do myself. I can myself feel that I get lost in a dictionary sometimes too. I find that if I open a dictionary and I start reading through, I'm like, oh wow, there's so many cool words. And it can be an experience in and of itself. It's almost like turning on Netflix and you sort of watch a series of something that you enjoy. It can be a bit like that with the dictionary. If somebody feels that they get a lot out of it and they enjoy it, then why not? Knock yourself out, enjoy it. Personally, I don't do that. But yeah, I can see why some people would. And also, to understand some of the things with dictionary as well, dictionary work or looking at dictionaries, is that you see words in context and you see words that are related. And so sometimes it helps you to make the connection between certain words. So that can be useful. Okay, just another language. Okay, let's see. Do you have any tips on studying vocabulary and reviewing learned words? Oh, that feels like a live in and of itself. I've possibly done a live on it on my Speaking Fluently channel. But in terms of learning words, I'm kind of, my personal view is learning words that are relevant to you in your life are the important ones to learn. And in order to remember them, that's one of the ways we remember, is because if we learn words that are important to us, that we are likely to repeat again and again and again and again, we'll get the repetition in that we need to really internalize them. And if you are learning, for example, words to do with things about you and your family and your friends and all that kind of stuff, you're going to be talking about that a lot. So therefore, you'll get the repetition in. If you find words particularly difficult to learn, then using some of the mind memory techniques is probably a good way to go, to try and find hooks, whether it's imagery, whether it's stories, whether it's sounds of words, whether it's how it looks on a page, things it reminds you of. These kinds of things really help. And yeah, I mean, you can even use AI to actually help you to create stories nowadays as well. Just go on to ChatGPT and say, I need to remember this word, and this is the word in this language, and help me to create a story. You can even say some things that sound like it will help to create it. Just playing with things like that, often big help. So yeah, hello. Right, well, I am going to go. It was very, very nice to have this live. It's been a while since I've done a live. I've not done one on my own channel for a long time now. Partly because I felt that I'd covered so many topics, and also it was the summer, and my scheduling changed. I had my exams for Cornish, and then I was away for the summer as well. So, but I've been very, very busy with the Polyglot Conference stuff, to be honest. So it's quite tough and challenging to juggle all of that stuff: studies, life, family, work, and organizing a community event. But yeah, I mean, I'm very, very happy, as I say, to answer any of the questions you have. Feel free to pop them in the comment section below, and give me a like, give it a share. Help to encourage more people to join our community. The more of us that are in it, and the more of us that get together, and the more ideas and the more synergies that come out of these interactions. From the very first conference, there were a number of really cool initiatives and friendships that sprang up, and they have endured to this day. And so I absolutely recommend getting involved and being part of it, because I think it is a very rewarding endeavor. And with that said, I wish you all a very happy Sunday and a very good start to your new week. All the very best for your language learning, and I hope very much to see you at Polyglot Conference Global between the 4th and the 8th of October online in our live environment. And also, if you can make it to Budapest on the 27th and 28th of October, it'd be wonderful to see you in person. And if you're in Penang from the 16th to the 17th of December, the language event will be there, and I would be very, very happy to see you either live in person. There is also going to be an online option to join virtually. We're going to try a hybrid event in Penang, so feel free to check that out too. And if you'd like, the money that we raise, anything that's over, will help us to go to paying for people to translate some of these languages and for language learning options courses that we can find for them. For example, the link stories is one thing that I would love to have translated into languages like Cristani, for example. And I'm a great believer that if someone's doing the work, we should be able to give them some compensation for that. And so some of the extra money that we get, we try to invest into these communities so that we don't just walk the walk, we also talk the talk, and we try to behave as we preach and practice what we preach. Otherwise, it's all, as we say here, bosh muaret, empty talk. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. And yeah, please stay in touch and write to me. Take care. Bye-bye.